The following is a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of this station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information hereafter is for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician. Your Health Matters with Karl Sterling on News Radio 570 WSYR and 106.9 FM and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Bringing the latest in health and wellness so you can get to the other things that matter. Here's your host, Karl Sterling.
Good morning, Syracuse, Central New York. Hope you're all doing great today. It's a good day, good weather for ducks today, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Elizabeth Bruce is with me today. How you doing, Elizabeth?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, it's always so great to be here in the studio. I just love doing
fun.
this. Yeah. Kyla, thank you. She's waving. She's so humble. She won't acknowledge, but thank you, Kyla. You make our job so easy. Well, my name's Karl Sterling. You're listening to Your Health Matters. I don't have a lot to say today, but I'll save anything I have to say mostly for the second hour because we have a special guest with us today. He's the man, the myth, and the legend who did the show for years before I took it over. And, of course, I'm speaking about none other than Dr. Joe Barry, who's joining us. Dr. Barry, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Thank you, Karl. Good to be on the air.
Really good to have you. Yeah. I think I talk to you more on the air than I do when we're in the same building together because we're both so busy we don't get to say hi. But that's good, though.
Well, at least we can catch up here.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're just going to go, okay? And for people listening, we have no set plan or script. I have no idea what you're going to talk about, pretty much, and I can't wait to hear whatever it is. What's on your mind, Doc? What do you want to share with us?
Oh, Karl, first I want to say that listening to your show has been very helpful to me. I mean, when I did the radio show, I had to do hours of research, and every Sunday morning I'd be stuck in the basement going through journals and online and podcasts. You get the actual guest to come on. I mean, from Dr. Bredesen to Casey Meets. I mean, every week or two I see a name I recognize as an international star in the holistic, longevity, restorative field. And Central New York has the great good fortune of having you do the radio show where these people are available to them. Oh, you can seek them out on the internet and look for podcasts and the different journals. But you're putting it on a plate for people. If you can't benefit from this, you can't benefit from anything. Karl is spoon feeding you the greatest experts that the world has on these issues. And I feel good that the people that are talking are kind of bringing up the same subjects that you and I talk about all the time. And one thing that's very near and dear to my heart is fluoridation. I mean, I just don't think we should be putting anything in the water unless it's been shown to be universally a boon to all mankind. And you just can't say that about fluoride. We could go on and on. There's 84 papers that talk about the dangers of fluoride that are available from the Fluoride Action Network fan. And we could go on and on about the mental retardation that costs about 4 or 5 IQ points, and that comes from the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, not from obscure journal, the JAMA Pediatrics. So I've been writing to Dr. Anderson, who's the Commissioner of Health in Alameda County, for about a year. Every month or so I send her another article, another note saying, please, can you look at this? If more than a pea-sized bit of toothpaste goes down your throat, you're supposed to call poison control.
Wow.
Women who, unfortunately, that can't breastfeed. So I think breastfeeding is the number one, the number two, the number three important thing to do for your child. But if you can't breastfeed and have to use formula, which is in no way as good, it's got its own poisons in there. But even the people that make the formula will tell you, do not use fluoridated tap water for your breast milk. What is that telling you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If children need fluoride for the teeth, let the children have the fluoride in a pill form, in a toothpaste form. Oh, yes, when we started putting fluoride in the water, cavities went down tremendously in America. But they also went down tremendously in Europe. where they didn't add fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
So if people look, well, what is Europe doing? Well, most of Europe doesn't put fluoride in the water. England does, and everyone knows that the British, have the greatest teeth. Not. So I don't think we should have chloride in the water.
I was just there, Doc. I saw it all. I was just there 3 weeks ago. Go ahead.
Yeah. The water, the only thing water should have in it is ice cubes. Nothing else should be in the water. And the FDA admits it doesn't have grade 1 evidence for the benefits of fluoridation. If it doesn't have, quote unquote, grade 1 evidence, then we shouldn't be putting it in the water. So I finally am taking a meeting later this month with the commissioner, and I'm just going to, give her some papers, give her some information. I'm not going to be as obnoxious as I'm on the radio because it's about sharing information.
Yeah.
Show me what you've got. I'll show you what I've got. And that's what I say to all the gynecologists that say, you got to take a calcium supplement. No, doctor. My people say that calcium supplements are not a good idea. Look at the book from Dr. Thomas Levy that says Death by Calcium. Watch the Dr. Levy's YouTube videos, Death by Calcium. What bones need is magnesium. What bones need is a little bit of boron. They need vitamin C, vitamin K2. They don't need excess calcium. When women have mammograms, what are they looking for? They're looking for not breast cancer. They're not looking for lumps or bumps. Mm-hmm. They're looking for microscopic bits of calcium.
Yeah.
When you look for men's prostate, where the cancer is, it's microscopic bits of calcium. I'm afraid that given our food supply, we do need supplements, but you got to be careful about it. And we shouldn't be putting stuff in the water for anyone's benefit. And like I've written, if you look at the fluoride supply, it doesn't come in a nice green wrapper that says, take a couple swigs for yourself. It says this is a toxic poison. I'm told that the people in Oakland that put in the fluoride have to use hazmat suits. I don't want something that requires a hazmat suit in my water. There's judges in California that are instituting bans on fluoridation. The state of Utah, I think, is just stopping fluoridation. The state of Florida is looking into fluoridation. RFK Jr., who I'll talk about more later, has questions about fluoridation. If there's questions about it, we shouldn't be doing it routinely and just assume it's a good thing to do. It's time to look, unfortunately, at all the things we do in medicine that the government has recommended and ask ourselves, what's the basis of these recommendations? Who's benefiting? And is America healthier? Cheerios, they say, is heart healthy because it lowers cholesterol.
Yeah.
Oiga, well, cholesterol is not the problem. It's inflammation. Mm-hmm. And Cheerios is a super processed, grainy oat stuff that's soaked with glyphosate, full of carbohydrates, all kinds of processed stuff, BTH, etc. It is not good. It's so cute to watch those little babies, with the Cheerios all over their fingers trying to get in their mouth. That's cute, but Cheerios are not good for kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Canola. I see people at the Walmart and at Costco with these big tubs of canola oil, and it says it on there. This is heart healthy, recommended by the American Heart Association because it lowers cholesterol. Maybe you've heard of Gary Brecka. He's the biologist and insurance agent that could tell you by looking at your blood work how long you have to live. And even people like Gary Brecka, who's not a doctor, is talking about how we have to have cleaner food, cleaner fuel. And the more I study molecular biology, the more I realize it's all about making one cell happy. And if you're using enough of the right nutrients, you don't have to take, Dr. Gundry takes 200 supplements a day. I hope and pray the rest of us don't have to do that. But there are some supplements you got to take: vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K2, magnesium, the B complex. You got to get more fiber. This is the basic package, and people that don't do it can't enjoy good health. And I'm afraid the medical profession is not sending them in the right direction. But people like Gary Brecka said, he studied 100-year-old people. All the 100-year-old people he ever studied, every one of them had high cholesterol levels. Mm-hmm. From the NHANES database, this is a national-wide database of Americans, not Filipinos, not Thai people, not the Chinese, but Americans. And it showed that over the age of 50, the higher your cholesterol, the less heart disease, the less cancer, the less stroke, the better mortality. So your doctor, and I'm afraid most doctors in Central New York, are following 20-year-old dictates. Mm-hmm. Cholesterol bad. If cholesterol is bad, why is it in breast milk? Cholesterol evil. if cholesterol is evil, why does the brain have to make it inside the brain? No, we've been the advice I give people, unfortunate as it is if you hear any advice from our government about health, do the opposite.
Doc, we gotta go to break in a minute, less than a minute. Love what you just said there. Gary Brecka just came out with a hydrogen tablet, which we can talk about. I don't know if you have heard of it. I actually have some in my office that are like a sample that was given to me, but he's brought some good information to the table, and he's got a huge following. All right, so we're with Dr. Joe Barry today for both hours on Your Health Matters right here on News Radio 570 WSYR, also on 106.9 FM. My name's Karl Sterling. I'm with Elizabeth Brusa, who's going to say something soon. All right, so we'll be back after this short break. All right, we're back. I got to tell you, it's exciting to hear that music because that's off of my CD called Dream. And, I'm the last one to toot my horn, but I was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards. And we got right to the last round in January when they went top 10 out of like 3,000 submissions in July the year before. If we didn't make the top 5, if we make the top 5, it would have gone to the Grammys. But I just love that CD. It's the only thing I ever recorded I'm proud of, and I'm glad they're using it for the bumper music. So with that said, quitting drumming is the best thing I ever did because now I get to help people a heck of a lot more. So we were talking, first of all, we're with Dr. Joe Barry today, my friend, longtime friend, and like the leader in the field of, he talks about, and thank you, doctor. I mean, really, I appreciate your kind words. I do work tirelessly to get these people on the show. I want to have world-class leading experts, best-selling authors to tell us the real deal about things. And we even have people who come on who would argue with each other, like Dr. Anthony Chafee about the carnivore, and then you got Michael Greger, go vegan or vegetarian. And I'd love to get them on together, and you, and have you all go at it and just talk about stuff, but, maybe someday. But the thing is I want people to know what's out there, who's saying it, bring us the research, the real data, and then they can make an informed decision. And with that said, I also want to talk about, I have been in touch on a regular basis for over a year with RFK Jr.'s team. And, he's really, really busy. And also I'm in touch with Marty McCary, who is the new FDA commissioner. And he will come back on the show. He has made it very apparent to me he wants to come on. He's really busy right now, right? So I want to get these people on. But let's go back to RFK. So last week I got accused from one listener about single-handedly destroying your show. I'm sorry, doctor. I didn't mean to do that. But what it was is I was talking about a few different things, about how we look right now in to different eyes in Europe and other parts of the world, what the political climate is, and regardless of how people look at it, we hear what they like. We just look a certain way right now. It may not be that favorable, but it is what it is, okay? I didn't slew out an opinion. But what I will say is that RFK also has his haters and it has his supporters. I happen to like the fact that he has been a disruptor for a very long time. He actually was part of a team that sued Monsanto and actually won in a Roundup case, right? And then he does say every now and then something I wonder about. For example, when I was at SU working for years, I was the guy and the only one pretty much who worked with anyone from, in let's say, the ASD spectrum. I was the one trainer or, specialist there working with people with autism, Downs, Fragile X, development delay, whatever you want to call it. And I do know people personally with master's degrees, PhD, who are very much on the autism spectrum, very much autism, holding down really well-paying jobs, loving it, doing a great job, paying taxes, and that I just know this. Okay, so whatever. But when RFK says they're never going to hold a job and pay taxes, trying to watch that in context, which I believe I saw it in context. I'd love to get, even though I support most of what he says, what is your overall take of RFK Jr.? And yes, I want to repeat, I love that he's a disruptor and he's doing a lot of good stuff. What do you say, Doc?
Well, I think first off, it is a tribute to our democracy that people like Marty McCary, the guy who's the head of the NIH now, Jay Bhattacharya, these people were excoriated and were thought to be fringe people that didn't know what they were talking about in the last administration. Mm-hmm. And now they have real roles where they can actually make changes in people's health. Mm-hmm. Let's remember, with all the money we spend from the NIH and the CDC and the FDA, the health of the average American sucks. We're fatter than most other countries. We spend a ton of money on, more than the next 10 countries combined on our healthcare, 16% of GDP, and we rank 40th in terms of overall health. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that the Koreans and the Japanese and the people in Costa Rica are healthier than us. It's their diet, but it's also what our own government is doing to us without any checks and balances in terms of the food additives. So I love RFK Jr. He may have a worm in his head. He may have carried a bear in his car when he was 30 or something. I could care less. And I think the people that say they don't like RFK Jr. have never listened to him talk, because although he has that dysphonia, that speech difficulty, when he talks, he's not a foaming madman. He's talking about protecting people from big government, protecting people from big business, from Monsanto, from glyphosate, which is dripping out of the skies. Oh, maybe the pesticide isn't killing you directly, this herbicide, and Buzzsprout's marked, I think, as a pesticide. If this drug isn't killing you directly, it's killing the bugs that are making you healthy. So I love what Jay Bhattacharya said about RFK Jr. Let's look at what he's proposing. Okay, food additives. He's proposing to take out these food additives that make the Gatorade glow yellow and glow green.
Yeah.
We don't need our food to glow. These are petroleum products. Get rid of them. And we don't have to do $1 trillion study to see if they're bad or good for you. Do what the Europeans do. Just switch to their system. Say, we have to ban all these different dyes, and that would be easy. Additionally, we should get rid of all of these pesticides. Do what they're doing in Europe. The food is there is better. The people there are healthier. Do what they're doing. I would go so far as to say, do what they're doing with vaccines. Now, that's really controversial, but I think that we should look at their vaccine schedules and see, okay, who gives the most vaccines? Who gives the least? Whose kids are healthier? Whose kids are not so healthy? That's not that hard to do. Mm-hmm. I also hope he's going to make big changes in the school lunch program. You go to these school cafeterias, and they're giving them horrible food. I wouldn't call that food. Give them real food. Give them real vegetables. Give them real protein. Nothing prepackaged like this. We can do that. We did it when I was a kid. You can do it now. Excuse me. But take out the snacks. Take out the junk. And I can hear the mothers now. Well, my kid's not going to eat collard greens and beans and rice. Well, then your child isn't hungry. You can feed him what you want at home, but on the tax dollar, I want him to be fed stuff that I know is good for him. Same thing with the SNAP program. We used to call it food stamps. Now it's supplemental nutrition aid program. And, if you can, PepsiCo boasts that it made $6 billion last year on the SNAP program, selling Pepsi and Doritos or something like it to the American government, and therefore the people. You should be able to buy any vegetable you want, any meat you want, but no processed foods with food stamps. You shouldn't be able to buy Doritos, Fritos, Oreos, Cheetos, Munchos, any of these sodas, any of these sugar-encrusted drinks. They're all bad for you. You should eat your calories, not drink them. Mm-hmm. Now, on the issue of autism, well, I'd like to make 2 points. Number one is I think he's correct. He said 25% of people will never be employable, will never, as he put it so eloquently, will never have a first date, will never have a job. Not all autistic people can't be employed, but I see them almost every day, people that never will be employed because it's functioning at a low level. Mm-hmm. That's not a good thing, and we have to look into what's causing that. And it shocks me how little our government has done to look into this, which is a huge health crisis. And it's something we can look at. Look at other countries. Look at their autism rate. Look at the homeschooled. Look at the Amish. Look at that school in Oregon in the Northwest where they have a huge number of kids that are fully vaccinated and a huge number of kids that are less than fully vaccinated. Compare their health. It's not rocket scientists. Science. It's not rocket science. And it's something we should be spending tremendous efforts on, because other people will say, well, we've always had autism, but we just didn't call it that. And that's just nonsense. When I was in high school, there was maybe one child that had some learning difficulty, maybe two. Not like it is today, where it's 1 in 31, and not going down. So it's going up asymptotically. It's going up logarithmically, and we don't know why. We've got to get to the bottom. Maybe it's the environment.
So, Doc,
maybe it's...
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but because when I say anything on air, especially, but really to anybody, I want to make sure I've done my homework, and I try to do the homework and make sure I'm speaking based on the real deal information. So I didn't see, or I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just didn't find it or see it. Is that what RFK Jr. said? Was that 25% of people autism or ASD won't hold a job, have a first date? It was 25%?
Yes.
Okay, because I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. Folks, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I might be wrong because I didn't hear that. Now that I learned it, it's a different picture. So that's why I wanted to ask you about it, though, too. I want to get the truth. So keep going, Doc. We got 90 seconds before break. 90 seconds before break. Keep going.
So I am in favor. RFK is a disruptor. I think that we can't have the status quo. We have to have disruption. And listen to them squeal. He wants to do vaccines with a placebo. That's outrageous. Oh. That's taking us back 300 years. No, that's what's called basic science. How is it that people can say things like that and not be held to account? He's crazy to do this with placebo. No, it's crazy that we have all these years of vaccine therapies without real placebos. Of course, you're talking crazy. Read the books, people. Read the books. Turtles all the way down, Dissolving Illusions, the vaccine and the virus. There's so many books that are out there that are basically historical, and look at the facts.
Yeah.
Look at when measles was introduced.
We got to head to break, Doc.
95% gone.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Doc. I don't want to have any breaks, but we do have to have one in 20 seconds. So today, folks, we're with Dr. Joe Barry, and Doc, I love you like a brother, man. When you come on, it's just so much fun. I love it, and you're world class. You're one of these people. You're at the top of the list, man. This is Your Health Matters News Radio 570 WSYR. We'll be back after this short news break.
O'Brien.
Okay, we're back. This is Your Health Matters, and we're with Dr. Joe Barry today. Hey, let's keep rolling, Doc. Let's talk about some of these weight loss drugs. I know that's on your mind. I'd love to hear your take on, what are the benefits, what are some things we have to be mindful of, like muscle loss potentially and other things. How's it working out with these weight loss drugs like Ozempic and other ones?
Well, I think these drugs are very controversial, and they're very important, at least in terms of the finances of the nation. If these drugs cost $1,600 a month per person, and we have 25 million Americans taking them, that's going to bankrupt our medical economy. It's going to put these insurance companies out of business. They're going to have to jack up their rates so that those of us that are not taking those drugs, are paying for those that do. I mean, that's how insurance works. But the point about these drugs is they absolutely, for some people, can cause significant weight loss. It's not a miracle, but it can cause significant weight loss. And I have people that yell at me, how dare you advocate for these shots? It's unnatural. It's a cheat. It's not right. It's hard work. And I tell them, well, look at you. You've been a patient of mine for 3 years. You haven't lost a pound. So what are you criticizing? We found something that works.
Yeah.
Find something that works for you. Now, if you're going to take one of these drugs, the GLPs or the GLP/GIPs, then you want to make sure you follow what I call the 3 rules. So number 1 is you have to have more protein in your diet. Number two, you must exercise, or half the weight you lose will be muscle. Maybe it's 35%, maybe it's 50%, but you will lose a lot of lean muscle mass, and that's never a good thing because it's hard to rebuild it unless you go downstairs to Karl's place where they have the machines designed to do that. Maintain the muscle, maintain the bone. But you've got to take more protein, put that protein on the muscle with exercise, and then three, it has to be a low-carb diet. My orotund eye doctor friend from Kansas City, he took those shots, didn't change what he was eating. His idea of exercise was floating in his pool. He didn't lose a pound. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I have a patient that I see that's lost 100 pounds, but he's going to the gym 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. He's watching what he eats. He's taking a picture of his food so he can show it to his wife to prove it. So these drugs can be very beneficial. Now, what happens when we stop them? We don't really know because we're still in the mode of starting them. But the studies primarily have gone on for 50 or 52 weeks, and at the 52-week mark, people start putting weight back on. Mm. Does that mean that they get drug fatigue? Does that mean they get diet fatigue? We don't know. If you really want to do a deep dive in this, Dr. Michael Greger, who I think's been on your show, has a little manuscript that he wrote about this. And you can actually, he did 3 different videos on his website recently, nutritionfast.org, looking at this. And he claims a very high stop rate. And my answer is, well, people don't stop this drug if it's working unless they're forced to by their insurance company. Elon Musk would say this is a national health issue, and therefore we should take over the manufacturing of this drug and make it available to every American. And if everyone in America lost weight, we'd have less heart attacks, less arthritis, less knee replacements. It would be a financial boon. On the other hand, RFK Jr. says, listen, the real issue is the food. Let's fix that, and we'll fix the health in so many other ways. Because if you're still eating the crappy food you're devouring, the McDonald's, the Dairy Queens, the Doritos and Tostitos, the Taco Bells, if you're still eating the Dunkin' Donuts, you're still putting all this processed food in your body, and it's still going to increase your risk of cancer. It's still going to increase your risk of dementia. So I know people say, geez, I had to work very hard to keep my weight down, and now these people just come along and take this shot, soon to be a pill, and they did it, it's a cheat. I don't look at it that way. I try not to get all emotional about it. I say, let's find something that works for you, that doesn't seem dangerous, and whatever that takes. That's my same approach to diet. Well, okay, is Anthony Chaffee right? And is a carnivore diet the best thing? Is Dr. Greger right? Is the plants our only way to get healthy? And I think that there's no one, not Dr. Gundry, not Dr. Greger, not Dr. Chaffee, not Paul Saladino, not me. None of us has the answer, all the answers. I think we all have some answers, but none of us have all the answers. Mm-hmm. And that's why I tell people this is an N of 1. You experiment. Luckily, we have time. We're not trying to fix your health in a week or so. Go on a vegetarian diet for a month. See how you feel. See what your blood work says. Go on a carnivore diet for a month. See how you feel. See what your blood work says. Try intermittent fasting for a month. See how you feel. See what your blood work says. I think the issue with the weight loss is, if I tell people, I don't want you to lose weight. I want you to lose fat. And if you lose 50 pounds on one of these drugs, and 25 pounds is fat and 25 pounds is muscle. So you go from 200 pounds to 150. You've only lost 25 pounds of fat, but you've lost 50 pounds. Now you go off the drug. You're not putting 25 pounds of muscle back on.
No.
So now you're going to go from 150 back to 200, and now you're going to have the same weight, but worse body composition. And that, my friends, is important. Measure. So, yes, in my office now, we're offering IVs. People can come, get glutathione, they can get NAD, they can get rehydrated, treat their headaches. But the one thing we don't offer, which my people want me to offer, is shots for the weight loss. And I said, I don't want a weight loss shot clinic. People, if you're being serious about losing weight and you're taking these GLPs, you should be doing 2 things. 1, you should be going back to the doctor every month for a check-in. Did I lose weight? Here's what I'm doing now. Here's my diet. Here's my exercise. Here's my sleep. Here's my stress. Tell me why I'm not losing more. Where's the insulin resistance? So instead of just getting a shot once a week and continuing with whatever the heck you're doing, no, have a partnership with the doctor. I can assure you, you can go to the doctor once a month for the rest of your life, and your insurance company will never say a thing bad, and they'll pay for all those visits because they're about your health, not about your sickness. And the second thing you've got to do is keep measuring where you are, how much fat, how much muscle.
Well, yeah.
Your doctor should be doing this. All right, you're going to take another break. Go ahead.
Not yet. No, but Elizabeth has a question.
I have a question for you, Doc.
Fire.
I know you do this, and I know Karl does this, but not all doctors have a body composition scale that tells you how much is fat you're losing and how much muscle you're losing.
And visceral fat, too.
Visceral fat.
Yeah,
None of them have that. Because I literally went to the doctor a few months ago, and I knew that I lost muscle because I wasn't working as much out, and I wasn't feeling well. So I lost, he says, well, you lost 2 pounds. And I said, I guarantee that is muscle and not fat because of the body composition scale. Why don't all doctors have a body composition scale?
The easy answer is they're not paid to have one.
Right.
Okay.
If the insurance paid me $12.50, I'd do body composition every single person who walked in the door. That's just how doctors work. That's how everyone works. Mm-hmm. If they don't, as my partner has said in the past, if the insurance companies don't value it, then I don't value it. Well, I don't.
That's
sad.
Think
that, number one, this is something that everyone should do.
Yeah.
Number two, that doctors should be saying this, and this is again part of my teaching process with the practice upstairs. Is I tell them, why wouldn't you, from year to year, want to know? You may weigh the same, but are you the same? Maybe you have more muscle. Maybe you have more fat. You can look at that, and my office, we measure it every year, every 6 months, and we tell people,
yeah. Well, Doc, it's not like so much like how much you weigh, but where's the weight reside in your body, right? Like I remember I was on a weight loss goal 2 years ago, and we got the biodensity machine. I started doing it, and in about a 3-month period, I didn't lose any weight. I gained 6 pounds of muscle, but actually what happened was with the net whatever, I actually lost, I can't remember how many pounds of fat.
I can't remember.
And because it's an amazing muscle, but actually we're going to go into a break in just a minute, so I'll finish it out here, and then we'll come back with Dr. Joe Barry. But where the weight resides in your body is so important. And, losing muscle is probably the easiest thing to do in the whole world. It's also one of the most dangerous things because actually, people like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and I can't think of the other ones right now who actually talk about muscle as an organ, the organ of longevity. More muscle, well, probably stronger, better balance, higher metabolism, burning more calories at all times, including when you're sleeping, and burning off some of that fat because you have extra muscle. And with that said, we're going to break. This is Your Health Matters. We're with Dr. Joe Barry. We'll be back after this short message. Okay, we're back. This is Your Health Matters. I'm with Elizabeth Russo. We're live in the studio today and on the phone today for both hours. We have my friend Dr. Joe Barry. We're going to continue talking about insurance and what it doesn't value, maybe your health. I'm amazed, quite frankly, that, for example, Elizabeth couldn't get a DEXA scan from one of the doctors because she wasn't 60 yet.
2 doctors.
Okay, yeah, because they don't value that, and you can tell them what your experience was there. I'm amazed that when they do a DEXA scan, the average scan people only do one hip. What if they scan the good hip, but your other one has osteo something? Well, they need to do both hips. I always insist on it. Write it in prescription. I know you do that, Doc. And I'm amazed at the things that are just totally blown off by the insurance people and the lack of caring, and nobody really cares if you're healthy or not, except good doctors like you and people like us.
Right.
So let's talk more about this insurance dilemma.
Well, what I didn't realize until earlier this year was how the insurance companies are incentivized. And you would think that they take in a pool of money, and then they have to dole out the money to the people's, providers, therapists, surgeons, etc. And if there's money at the end of the year, then they collect that money, and that's all good. But no, that's not how it works for not how it works for the vast majority of people's insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Empire, Aetna, Cigna, all those insurance companies are paid based on the overall costs. So if there's $1 million in costs, let's say they get 10% of that. They get $100,000. If there's $100 million of costs, then they get $10 million. So they have no interest in. They seem to act like that. We want to cut costs and maintain costs, but in fact, they're not incentivized for you to be healthy. The sicker you are, the more money they can charge their the general customers. So doctors are, unfortunately, have over the years just gotten into the habit of, well, if the insurance covers it, then I'll do it. If the insurance doesn't cover it, I won't do it. Now, in terms of the body composition, luckily you can go on Amazon and for $50 or $75 buy a very accurate composition of your muscles and your fat. It may not measure the water in one arm, but it'll tell you your body fat and your muscles. So you can, as you must, be your own, health coach in that regard.
Yeah.
Also, they'll pay for some routine stuff. So if you go to the doctor for a quote unquote physical, the doctor will say, as long as you don't open your mouth, this physical is covered by insurance. But if you open your mouth and have a complaint, then this is a complaint visit, not a physical, and I won't make as much money. Which is why I see people going to the doctor and say, I'd like to bring some issues up. No. This is not that kind of visit. That's not really patient-focused. I think that my profession's in trouble. We are siloed, as Casey Means referred to it. This is my specialty. I don't do that, so I'm going to send you to my buddy. And you can go to one doctor and end up getting 17 referrals. God forbid you have some unusual problem. On the other hand, if you have an unusual problem, you need to see, as Tony Robbins points out, if you have something really important with your health, a heart attack, cancer, something like that, you need a major operation. You're crazy not to get several opinions. Get multiple opinions for all this stuff. Get them out of town. Get them on televisits. But get a couple of opinions because, as Tony Robbins finds out, the first opinion isn't always the best opinion. And if you're going to a carpenter and he has a hammer, every problem becomes a nail. You go to the surgeon and say, should I have this hernia taken out? What's he going to say? No, that's fine. You just watch it. Oh, no, it has a high chance of becoming incarcerated in the future while you're on vacation. Better get it taken out now. So I don't blame that. You go to a cardiologist, every cardiologist in town, every single one, is going to say, lower your blood pressure to the point where you stand up and get dizzy. Take a statin drug, even though the strongest evidence they've ever had for statins says it prolongs your life by 0.6% a year, so that if you take a statin, your likelihood of dying that year is down by 0.6%, not 1%. Just over 0.5%. And yet these doctors act like these drugs are harmless, that they don't cause brain fog, they don't cause muscle pains, they don't cause a 300% increase in diabetes. These are well-known things. Ask the astronaut who wrote the book, Lipitor Stole My Brain. And yet I'm afraid my profession, and I wish I could say something nice. I mean, I wish I could, but they're operating on 20-year-old principles. They're not looking at the new stuff because there's no endpoint. There's, the societies, the guidelines, which are run by you-know-who, all favor the more aggressive, the more exotic, and they'll all give lip service. You really should do diet and exercise. And then they stop and then say, here's a pill.
Well, with that said, my son, who is an MD, and he says he even says this is like 70s. We're living in the 70s medicine right now. So you said 20 years ago, whatever, but it's archaic almost, most of the medical community. And you know what? I have to always say, folks, there are a lot of great doctors out there. It's just that you got to find the ones who will care, who listen, who take the they're helping you in a preventative way, right? We got Dr. Cobb, Dr. Rotella, Dr. Berry, and these they're going to listen. They're going to have these skins. I got something for you, Doc. Here's one. I also want to just interject too that while insurance is making a fortune, I think what'd you say, 25 million people on weight loss drugs like Ozempic and stuff?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so if it's $1,600 a month, and I did the math, it's $40 billion a month. $40 billion a month. Wow. So that's a lot of money. So anyways, There are some insurance companies that are offering little incentives here to their subscriber, to the person they're insuring. I know that on my insurance, I can actually go to this one particular gym to work out. I won't say who. It's a great gym. I just don't want to go there because I don't like it there. But I mean, I could go there and they could actually pay for part of it, right? That's nice. That's a tiny incentive. At least it's better than nothing. You see that in little pockets here and there. But on the flip side, as my mom passed away last fall, and we found out what was going on with her stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Well, it led my doctor, my son too, get a scan of your abdomen. And so then I find out that if I want to get this done, I have to lie and say I don't have health insurance. Because if I say I have it and I go get the scan, it's actually considered, according to my doctor, illegal. So now I'm committing insurance fraud only because I want to find out if I have anything going on in my abdomen. It's the weirdest thing. And I'm not making that up. I mean, you probably know about this. I don't know these things, and I can't even put together how it could be illegal. But I would have to lie and just pay out of pocket. So that's just bad. It's not looking out in a preventative way.
Well, Karl, I take a slightly different view of this, of these insurance companies that say, we're going to buy you a gym membership. Mm-hmm. They know that most of those people are never going to go to the gym.
Oh, true, yeah.
And how much extra money are they charging you to offer you that gym membership? And then that, silver sneakers membership, and then $5 for anything you want at the grocery store. They must have a huge extra profit that they're willing to offer, and they know that only 1 in 10 is going to take them up on that.
I didn't even think any of that. Yeah.
Mine you have to sign.
Well, maybe it's just because I have a heart of darkness. Look at so if this what you're talking about, this insurance stuff is something that vexes every doctor. It's why there are now doctors are not going into primary care. Let's say you have a blocked artery in your heart. If you have a blocked artery in your heart, you might have a blocked artery in your neck. So you have atherosclerosis. You have hardening of the arteries, not due to the cholesterol. It's due to the interruption of the glycocalyx, et cetera, et cetera. But let's say you have a blocked artery in the heart. Now, knowing that, a concerned doctor would go, we should make sure there's not a blocked artery in the neck. Make sure the neck's okay. They're only about a foot apart. And if there's blocked artery in one spot, should there be a blocked artery in another? And I don't want to find that out by surprise. So now, how do I order that? I can just say the gentleman has atherosclerosis. But unfortunately, the radiologist says, to get this covered by insurance, you have to use one of these 10 terms. You have to say the patient has one of these conditions, or you can't get it covered. So I can now turn to the patient and say, you have to pay $200 to get this done. It seems reasonable. It's appropriate, but your insurance won't cover it. Or I say, well, maybe I heard a noise. Maybe you say that maybe they have the problem, and then they get it covered. And then the patient says, I don't have the problem. Why is it in my chart? Well, because if I didn't put it in your chart, I couldn't get your insurance to cover it. It's a vicious circle.
Oh, my gosh. Doc, I actually never thought of that aspect of it. It would be on your chart. It just never occurred to me because I'm not a doctor.
Oh, now that people have access to their charts and they're looking for all kinds of obscure things, I go, why does it say I have giddiness? No, Mr. Jones, you're not giddy. But unfortunately, the codes I have to use for dizziness say dizziness and giddiness. It comes together. But no one ever said you were giddy. And they find this stuff in the chart, and I want that out of my chart. No one's looking at this. I understand it's a document, but what they're looking at is my note, and my note doesn't have anything about that in there.
Yeah.
But it's hard. People will come to me and go, I know my blood work already. Wait, I've had people go to the hospital. They're waiting there with their loved ones in the hospital bed, and this doctor will come in and say, well, he had a CAT scan this morning, but I don't know the results yet. And the family will go, well, we pulled it up on our phone. It's right here for you, doctor. Because in the state of New York, the minute the test is done, it has to be released to the patient. Has to be.
Yeah,
it doesn't give the doctor a chance to say, well, let me explain this to them. Let me show them what this is all about. No. And then, of course, when you look at that actual report, you see all kinds of words you don't understand. You slap them into Google, and it says you got cancer.
Yeah.
So the information is fabulous, but people have a lot of information now, and they often misinterpret it or overuse it. And that's, of course, why you should go to the doctor with a list of questions.
Yeah.
Don't just go and show up like you're a dog at the vet, go with questions. And guess what?
You got it.
The doctors, they don't like questions because it's going to prolong the visit. But go with a list of questions and tell them, doctor, we don't have to answer all the questions this visit. Let's just knock off one or two, and I'll come back and knock off a few more.
Hey, Doc, man, this is a blast. We got to do it more often, seriously. So today, folks, we have Dr. Joe Berry with us, and what a pleasure. Always learn so much from you. You know, the other thing, too, is you make me think differently, and I need this a lot. All right, folks, this is Your Health Matters, News Radio 570 WSYR. We have another hour coming up with Dr. Joe Berry, so don't go away. Stay by your radio. Stay by your live stream. We're coming back after the top of the hour news break.
The proceeding was a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of the station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information has been for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician.
The following is a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of this station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information hereafter is for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician. Your Health Matters with Karl Sterling on News Radio 570 WSYR and 106.9 FM and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Bringing the latest in health and wellness so you can get to the other things that matter. Here's your host, Karl Sterling.
All right, here we are, live in the studio. Elizabeth and I are here. Are you having fun?
Yes, I am. I'm
Me
enjoying
too,
this.
man. I love talking with Dr. Berry. It's so good. We're going to talk with Dr. Berry in a couple of minutes. Dr. Joe Berry's with us for both hours today. And, we were saying on the break, he always makes me think different.
Yes, he does.
And I need this. I need to think different because I don't want to be normal.
Well, trust me, you're never normal.
I love that you and Dr. Berry and me, we're not normal. It's beautiful. Folks, I just got a couple things I wanted to mention. Thank you got a bunch of texts that are enjoying the show. Thank you. And no one told me I ruined the show yet this week. Good. That's okay. And I want to talk about a device we use a lot in my clinic called the Pulse device. They are a sponsor. I want to make sure I do my due diligence. And first of all, thank you, Ethan Pollock and Pulse, for sponsoring this show today. This device, folks, is really, really amazing. It vibrates. Now, you wouldn't think that vibration could be so powerful. We have top-end power plate, whole body vibration units in our place, and they are amazing. What they do, what they offer is so beneficial for so many different conditions and things for all people. All right, but the Pulse device is highly therapeutic, vibrating at a lower amplitude, almost undetectable if you choose that, to help strengthen tissue repair, diminish pain, increase circulation, increase strength. I've had these things on people's quadriceps when they do a leg extension, and they'll bust out 20% more weight just with the placement of one vibrating pod on each leg. It's amazing. Yeah, and then we got another gentleman who comes in to see us, Jim. I'll say Jim. And his right knee hurts, right?
Yep.
So we place these strategically on either side of his knee. And when he's on leg extension, he doesn't feel any pain in that knee. Is it the cure? No. Is it the fix? No. Does it help? Yes, it does. So if you're looking to buy or invest in something that for most people, and this is all, of course, depends upon the person, but it's not going to break your bank. You don't have to spend $5,000, $3,000, $17,000 on something. You spend $229 because it's $249. But if you go to karlsterling.com, Karl with a K, on the front page for the rest of this week is still my interview and a blurb about Ethan Pollock and the Pulse device. Put in NMT, like NeuroMotor Training, 20, NMT 20. You'll save the $20 off the $249, $229, free shipping, and it's amazing. and you can buy them and use them and love them. So we'll talk about another sponsor a little later. In the meantime, we have Dr. Joe Berry joining us today. Doc, it's so much fun having you here. We talked on the break. You wanted to maybe discuss or talk about the philosophy of medicine. The floor is yours, Doc.
Talking about different devices, like Gary Brecka talks about, red light therapy, hydrogen water, the energy mats. This is stuff you're not going to get this from your regular doctor. You have to do your own research and do your own health exploration, and you have to invest in it. Better you invest in your health than you invest in your illness. But I spend a lot of time reading, and I like to read historical stuff. And someone showed me a copy of the first edition of the Principles of Internal Medicine. That Principles of Internal Medicine by Tinsley Randolph Harrison, Harrison's textbook of medicine. It's a 1,590-page book, and it starts off with 5 pages introduced as approach to the patient, because I think our doctor's approach to the patient needs to be reformulated. In his quoting from the book, the chapter ends, "The true physician has a Shakespearean breadth of interest in the wise and the foolish, the proud and the humble, the stoic and the whining rogue. He cares for people." And this has to do, it reflects on the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath says, "I will remember that there is an art to medicine as well as a science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug." I've talked in the past about how Thomas Alva Edison said, "The doctor of the future will prescribe no medicines." Well, Einstein said, "The future of medicine is frequency medicine." So my point is that doctors look at patients as, what's the problem? It's the headache in room 4. It's the back pain in room 6. They did a study recently that looked at, and I think it was blood pressure. And they said the doctor's going to go in and be therapeutic and cooperative and work with the patient on their overall health, or the doctor's going to go in and just drop off a pill. Or the doctor's going to go in and be negative. This is all your fault. There's nothing. And it turns out that whether the person got the pill or not, it did not affect their blood pressure, that the blood pressure was lower in people that had a therapeutic relationship with their doctor. And I know how difficult it is to have that relationship in 10 minutes with your doctor. So that's why you have to co-opt the visit. You can't let them do what they want to do because they want to get in and out as quick as possible. You have to say to them, "Listen, I know you're here talking about my illness, but I want to focus on my wellness. Can we talk about my sleep? Can we talk about my exercise? Can we talk about my diet? Can we talk about the stress in my life?" If you don't work on those, you're not working on your health. And yes, you have to ask your doctor, like Elizabeth did, for tests that she wants. You have to ask your doctor for the insulin test. As Gary Brecka was being interviewed by the head of the Cleveland Clinic, Mark Hyman, a couple of weeks ago on a podcast, Mark Hyman, the head of the Cleveland Clinic Functional Medicine, is saying, geez, doctors, insulin resistance is a terrible problem. Insulin resistance is 85% of Americans have metabolic syndrome / insulin resistance, and yet 1% of doctors are measuring insulin. Every nutritional book I read now talks about the benefits of omega-3s and the risk of having an abnormal omega-3 to 6 ratio. Omegas, these are essential fatty acids. I mean, there's a reason the word is essential, just like there's essential amino acids. There's no essential carbohydrates. But if these are essential fatty acids, why isn't your doctor measuring them? And it's easy and it's cheap, but you have to be the captain of your health fate. You have to say, "Listen, I'd like my insulin measured." "Well, I don't know." "Listen, insulin resistance, I might have that. I'd like that measured." "I don't even know what the code is." "Put in insulin resistance, doctor, that'll work." "And I'd like my omegas measured." "Well, I've never." "Listen, doctor, these are essential amino acids. I understand that from a molecular sense that my membrane may not be right because my acids aren't right. And I can have this measured. You can measure it for me. It's a cheap test." "Well, I don't know what," "Doctor, just write in metabolic resistance. Write in dyslipidemia, a problem with lipids. There's a code that'll pay for it. And then once you have the data, you can start following it. there's no point in measuring things
Hey,
like.
Doc, we got to go to break already almost.
Okay, I hear you.
Oh, you
There's
know
no
how it
point
is. You
measuring
did
your
the
blood
show
pressure.
for a long time. You know how fast these minutes go. It's crazy.
Yes.
Hey,
indeed.
so after I had Bredesen on the last time, the time before that, I got my resting insulin tested, which came out perfect. But I would have done it if I didn't hear it from him. So I'm glad I had it
there's
done, and
perfect,
it is good.
and there's
So
perfect.
this is Your Health Matters, News Radio 570. Just have to go out for a short break, folks. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're doing a deep dive with Dr. Joe Barry today, deep diving into all these things that are relevant to your health. And I love how you talk about Dr. Barry being an advocate for your health. You got to take control. You just can't let your doctor do it in most cases. I mean, I don't mean that against any doctors. Fact is that we have to be on the preemptive strike against stuff, do things to help ourselves, put more life in our years and health span in our lifespan. So with that said, we see in my clinic a lot of people with dementia, Alzheimer's, and movement disorders. And then we just see people who, just want to live longer, live better. And I know you have some things to say about heart disease, dementia, cancer, and some of the workups that you do for people in these arenas. Would you mind sharing about this with us?
Well, what I tell people is, as a concierge doctor, as a doctor that's going to charge you more than the insurance, over and above your insurance costs, people pay extra to see me because I have a more aggressive approach. And I don't mind telling you what I tell every one of those patients. There are three things that I focus on. One is heart disease, two is cancer, and three is dementia. Mm-hmm. Now, looking at heart disease, the cardiologist would just say, whatever your cholesterol is, get it lower, take a pill, and when you have your heart attack, if you're one of those 2/3 that survives it, we'll put a stent in. That's not the way I would do it. I tell people, no, there's a test you can do. It's a third of the price of a stress test. And it can tell you at the earliest how soon you're going to have heart disease. It's a dramatic test that's easy to do. It's a CAT scan. It's called the calcium score. It was popularized in America by Ivor Cummings when he did the documentary Widowmaker. But what it is a simple CAT scan of your heart, and it measures the calcium. Shouldn't be any calcium around your heart. The more the calcium, the worse it is. And there's things you can do to stop it from getting worse and, in fact, reverse it. Now, if you have a stress test done and you pass it, you could have a 60% blockage here, a 60% blockage there, a 70% blockage. You could have three-vessel disease that's not at 70 or 80%. It's at 65%. And you pass a stress test in flying colors, even though you already have significant heart disease. But the calcium score will find the heart disease at its first origin. And if your calcium score is 0, which is the best possible score, there's no need to take a statin. Your risk of having a heart attack in the next 10 years is less than 1%. On the other hand, if your calcium score is 1,000, you have a 30% chance of having an event in the next 10 years. And it's a linear relationship between those two numbers. So knowing your calcium score can tell you what's going to happen to your heart in the next 10 years. And yet, the cardiologists never seem to order it. Mm-hmm. And it is actionable. In the last month, I've had 3 people that had their calcium score repeated, and they got the numbers lower. The cardiologists say that doesn't happen. And I say because you don't look for it and you don't give people supplements like CX8, nattokinase, et cetera, that might reverse it. Cardio Renew, another one. So if you're interested in finding out about your heart, you don't trust the doctor. And don't look at the EKG. The EKG is important, but it tells you what's happened in the past. It doesn't predict anything in the future. So if you want to know about the number one killer in America, I recommend a calcium score. Look into the Widowmaker. That's the documentary. Watch the Widowmaker, and you'll be armed to tell your doctor you want to test. Okay. And don't take no from the doctor. You don't need it. Doctor, it's my own money. Just order the test. It's about $150. Okay. I recommend Krause Hospital. They're the most efficient in it. Next is, there goes the warning signal. Next is cancer. I mean, what do we do to try and prevent cancer? We have our breasts squished like they were, I don't know what. I've never had it done, so I can't describe it.
It hurts.
10-foot. Thank you. We have a 10-foot periscope shoved up your butt looking for cancer, and we have an X-ray for your smoker. But what about kidney cancer, liver cancer, Ovarian cancer. Some doctors don't even do the PSA looking for prostate cancer.
Right.
But as Tony Robbins pointed out, there are things you can do. You can do the American test, which is called the GRAIL, or you can do the Greek test, which is called RGCC. The GRAIL test looks for tumor markers, and the Greek test looks for tumor cells. And there are things you can do if you have positive cancer cells. Lots of stuff. And again, it's actionable. You can have scans done. You can take supplements. You can find out if you did have cancer, what chemotherapy works best for your cancer. You don't have to go to the cancer doctor and have them go, well, you got breast cancer. We're going to use these 3 chemotherapies. You can say, hold up. I had my blood sent to Europe. They did this test. They grew my cancer. They tested your chemotherapies against my cancer, and they can tell me which ones are going to work, which ones are not. This is revolutionary. But if you ask the doctors at Upstate, that's not approved by the FDA. We don't understand it. Excuse me. Pardon me now.
Yeah.
Aren't you the cancer doctors? Isn't this about cancer? Isn't this, if this was true, isn't this a major breakthrough? Why wouldn't you be all over this? Why aren't you advertising this? You can ask them because they won't tell me. They didn't write back when I wrote to them. So number one is heart disease. You can have a $150 test that tells you where you are on the spectrum. It's much better than stress test, period, full stop. And number two, you can have a test like either the GRAIL, and I'm meeting with the GRAIL people later this month to review their new statistics, or the test I currently favor, RGCC, about the same price, tells you a lot more information just from that one test. But I'm going to give the RGCC people or the GRAIL people another chance to show me what they've got. And then the third thing is dementia. Holy spumonies. Do doctors suck at treating dementia? They don't talk about diet. They don't talk about exercise. They rarely check the APE allele. They don't look for mold. They don't look for heavy metals. They don't do any of the things that Dr. Bredesen has put in his tremendous program. But people don't realize that between Dr. Bredesen, he wrote the book, The End of Alzheimer's, and Dr. Goodenow, who wrote the book, Breaking Alzheimer's, that there is so much information now on the real causes of memory loss and how to stabilize it. And yes, indeedy, sweet petite, reverse it. So again, I can't wait until Dr. Bredesen and Dr. Goodenow team up because that's coming. But right now, Dr. Bredesen has a supplement he recommends, NeuroQ, and Dr. Goodenow has a supplement he recommends, Prodrome, which is based on plasmalogens. Really basic biochemistry, basic science. And yet, if you go to the university today, their answer to dementia is, well, we'll do 1,500 hours of neuropsych testing, and then we'll put you on antidepressants. That is medicine, as Dr. Peter Attia refers to it, as medicine 2.0. That's reactive medicine.
Yeah.
But it's much better to be proactive, medicine 3.0. And a lot of nutritional stuff is in dementia. Dementia is inflammation of the brain. There's the other causes, traumatic, infectious, etc. But for 85% of us, it's type 3 diabetes. That is inflammation. And you can work on those sources of inflammation, and you can improve the brain. It's so much better to work on it when it's a fire in the trash can than when the whole lumber yard is burning down. I can do more. My own sweet mother, when she had dementia, I said, Mom, if I can get rid of the sugar in your diet, you'll live longer, and you'll be better. My mother said, don't give me a salad, that's rabbit food. Well, that's why my mother, died of dementia. And I think people should have a right to live their life the way they want. But if people knew about these people being available, Dr. Bredesen and his great program, Recode and Precode, Dr. Goodenow and his work that he's doing in Moose Jaw, this is heartening. These are the 3 biggest killers or affectors of life in America, and there's something you, as an individual person, can do, separate from your insurance, separate from your doctor, separate from the healthcare industry. You can take charge of your health, get a calcium score, get a cancer test, and number one, be evaluated for your memory, have memory testing done, and 2, train your brain and give your brain the right nutrition, which, by the way, has to do with the B vitamins and the all-important omegas. Your brain, when I call people fathead, I'm giving them a compliment because the brain is the fattest organ in the body. And again, these are the biggest killers in America. And what are regular doctors doing? In my opinion, unfortunately, just not enough. They're all burned out. They got to do the prior authorizations. They got
Mm-hmm.
phone calls from your mama. They got phone calls from the insurance company. They have to review the labs. They got to do, when you go to the emergency room and you have a 2-hour or 10-hour visit, the doctor has to go through sometimes 50 or 100 pages to try and figure out what the heck they did in the emergency room.
Yeah,
Did it
yeah.
when you go into the hospital.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Doug, we got to head to break shortly. But with that said, we had Bredesen on about 2 months ago, and his new book called The Ageless Brain, fantastic book. And that one goes,
Yeah, just got it.
It really goes into a lot of intervention strategies too, of supplements and diet and exercise. And we've got 30 seconds till break, but I'm just going to try to spit this out real quick. We know that exercise creates BDNF, especially if you're doing low grade like zone 2 cardio, elevated heart rate. That actually is a neuroprotective hormone protein that goes around and enhances the functionality, lifespan, and everything of brain cells. So it can actually help to slow down Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. This is Your Health Matters. We're with Dr. Joe today. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this short break.
O'Brien.
Elizabeth, how's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Good. Are you having a good time?
I'm having a very good time.
I mean, isn't he? He's amazing,
He's fun.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
amazing. He's fun.
I love it when I learn stuff I didn't know I could know. Like some of the stuff is in my wheelhouse that I might have been able to know it and maybe sort of had a 40,000 foot view of it. But to get right in and laser in on some of these details really changes my perspective. I think it's really important to bring this to the table for people. So we're with my longtime friend and one of my favorite humans, Dr. Joe Berry. I've got a couple things just to mention real quick before we get talking about AI and medicine. So one of the things is we have a couple more spots left for the bone density machine, the biodensity program.
Yes.
Maybe like 4-ish, 3-4 spots.
Yeah.
Because we're jamming. Thank you. Thankfully, I have a waiting list for people if you want to see me and do things with me. It's getting kind of long. The programs that we have had in the past that we have tried, things like membership for, $70 a month, or the Power Plate, $140 a month. We're taking them off the list, and there are a multitude of reasons why. If you want information on that, you can go to karlsterling.com, send me a message from there, and I can explain. But we just can't do those anymore because as we grow globally, opening new locations starting very, very soon, this center we're in now, this clinic we're in now, becomes an incubator research center, and we just don't have the capacity anymore. So thankfully, we are in this position of growing, and I'm grateful to God and everybody who has helped us. I can't even thank you enough. And Dr. Berry, that includes you because, you're one of the most generous human beings I've ever met in my life. And without your support and friendship, I would not be where I'm at now. So thank you, my friend. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Karl. It makes me happy to try and help other people. I mean, what do you got in life? Except for friends and family and your health.
Yeah.
And your health is your first wealth, they say. And I guess we're both in the business of trying to help people realize that before they lose it.
Yeah.
Because once they lose it, then they're willing to work on it.
Oh, it's tough, man.
They just did some PM, some preventive maintenance.
Yeah.
And in regard to that, although we're going to talk about AI, I'm as weak as everyone else listening to this radio show. It's not like I get up and exercise 3 times a day. My willpower goes down. So I've learned, I don't want to hunt rabbits. I don't want to hunt deer. I don't have the guts for it. I want to hunt my bad habits. I want to find out where they are, lie in wait, study them, and eliminate them. And one of my bad habits is that if I don't get my exercise in before 5 o'clock at night, that's not going to happen. I just can't do it at night. So I get it done first thing in the morning. But boom. Within 5 minutes of getting out of bed, I'm either doing a plank or I'm doing some push-ups. I'm getting my heart rate from 60 over 120 for less than a minute right off the bat. And I feel great. I've gotten some exercise in. I've done something right off the bat that makes me feel better about myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make me process calories better, etc. Don't wait until the end of the day.
Oh, you'll think better, too. You'll be able to function better. You can work better. We're all sharper if we get some movement going first thing, you know?
We get a case of the screw it's. You know, oh, I had a rough day. Exercise, screw it. Eat good today, screw it. I'm going to stop at McDonald's.
I'm guilty.
At the end of the day, we just have no more real, and this has been studied in the psychiatric tests with kids and cookies. Willpower is limited. Everyone doesn't have the same willpower. Mm-hmm. Now, everyone and their brother's talking about AI, and I can tell you right now that most of your doctors are using AI in their office today. Mm-hmm. And I look at AI in terms of three ways that I look at it so that it can help doctors. What's happening now with the AI is it's being used to listen into the conversation, and this is what we do in our office. The AI listens in. It's not a person, it's the AI, and it takes the conversation. It might have been a 20-minute conversation, including questions about, you know, your dog Buzzo, your aunt's Ginny, the weather, the Mets, SU, etc. And it deletes all the stuff that's not medical and just transcribes all the medical stuff. Wow. This makes it much easier for the doctor. How many times did it happen? Is it made better with exercise, worse with exercise? What brings it on? What have you done to make the pain go away? How often does it happen? Anyone else in the family? Anyone else near you? Any recent travel? All those questions, instead of me typing it away, I'm not a typist, are now being collected by the AI. Now, it's not where it has to be yet. Eventually, I should be able to say to it, okay, I want to do a chest X-ray, link that to shortness of breath. I want to do a CBC, a CMP, and other blood work, link it to anemia and shortness of breath. It should do all that. It's not doing that, but it's doing the history part pretty well, and that's a great thing. But three places that I think AI is going to help in the future. One is in radiology. Now, we've been saying this for 10 years. Frankly, I don't like radiologists. And when I say don't like them, I guess I'm jealous because they make a tremendous amount of money. And every time they do a study, they recommend another study. You do a chest X-ray, they recommend a CAT scan. You do a CAT scan, they recommend an MRI. You do an MRI, they recommend a bone scan. You do a bone scan, they recommend a chest X-ray. And they don't compare it unless you force them with a gun to the last X-ray. So, and that doctor could be hungover, could be bored, could be flirting with the nurse, could be checking his stocks. I don't know if he's paying attention. Has he seen this 200 times or 2,000? When we have AI that looks at that X-ray, it has the benefit of 300 million reports. It's never distracted. It can see patterns that we can't see. So AI will be great for radiology. And because it's great for radiology, it'll be great for patients. And the second area that AI is going to be great is in psychotherapy. They did a study recently that put real therapists against the AI therapists, and the AI therapists were favored over the real therapists. They were more compassionate. They were more empathetic. They gave more precise suggestions. People loved the AI therapists until they found out that it was artificial intelligence. Then they hated it.
That's interesting.
But when they thought it was a person, they were very happy. So, you know, when you're upset at 2 a.m. over your boyfriend breaking up with you, no therapist wants to get on the phone. You know, when people try and get a therapist now, do they take my insurance? Are they full up? Can I get their hours? The AI will always remember you, always know what the problem was, always know your history, and always have a way. I've done 300 million people with depression caused by their girlfriends breaking up with them and leaving them for a circus performer. I've only seen that 10 million times, so let's walk through that. So I think the AI in that role will be very, very helpful as well.
Sure.
And then the third will be, finally, when the AI is smart enough to help the doctor remember, just like there are 2 pilots in current aircraft. I know the move in the heavy industry airlift is just to have 1 pilot. Or 1 pilot, and as we say in the airline industry, 1 pilot and a dog. Karl, do you know why the airlines would have 1 pilot and a dog?
No.
What's the purpose of the dog?
To relax the pilot.
Elizabeth?
I have not a clue. Just to have companionship.
Yeah,
That's it.
No. The dog bites the pilot if he tries to touch anything.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
The planes are in such control now that you know, will they be flying themselves in a few years? I don't know. But if the planes can have a co-pilot, Why don't doctors have a co-pilot to say, hey, doctor,
Yeah.
I just want to remind you, the last time the patient had these complaints, the last 50 times you ordered this test. Or the best doctors in the world ordered this test, and now you have that data. Compilation of symptoms easier. It's going to give doctors an assistance in terms of making diagnosis. No doctor can know everything. No doctor can get it all right. But these systems can say, well, there's a pattern here, and with this kind of pattern, we suggest these tests, or we suggest trying this medicine. So I think AI is going to be good for medicine. Is it going to replace doctors? No. I mean, as it is now, people go to Google, they do all the research, they still come to the doctors thinking they've got cancer. And that's okay. That's the doctor's role, to sift through the data, to be compassionate. Not to, again, modern medicine, we're focusing on the problem, the blood pressure in room 4, the headache in room 5.
Yeah.
But if you deal with the person's underlying problem, the blood pressure goes away.
Hey, Doc, we got to go to another break already. Believe that? So,
all right.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to a break. Before we do, though, I'll just say that, like my son is an AI MD, inventor, creator of a lot of things. It's really cool how it's a co-pilot. It's assisting doctors in doing a better job, collaboratively, better diagnosis, intervention, more effective. This is Your Health Matters. So we're Dr. Joe Barry today. We have one more segment, so don't go away. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. All right, folks, we're back. This is Your Health Matters with Elizabeth Russa. Isn't this great? I love this.
Is wonderful.
Yeah, I learned a lot today. And I just have something I'd like to say before we finish up the hour in this show today with Dr. Joe Barry. As you know, if you listen to this show, I've plenty of times told you I was a heavy drinker till years ago. And I did a lot of damage, not only probably to my liver, which actually is really good the past few years. I got my health back. But to people, bad decisions. But here's part of the problem, folks, is I didn't want to admit it. I was in denial for a long, long, long time. And I want to say that when you hurt somebody, when you make a bad decision, even if you don't try to hurt somebody, or if you do, you're hurting that person in a way, especially if it's an emotional level, where you can do some serious damage. And I don't think any of us should be doing that to people. And if you are, well, who am I to say anything? I've already done it, and I have a lot of remorse, a lot. But there's a thing in the heart that's like a little brain, and they say it's comprised of about 40,000 neurites, basically cells and neurons. And it's wired up very similar to a brain, and it has a memory. Therefore, when something happens to you that triggers an old memory of someone or something that, somebody hurting you emotionally or otherwise, no wonder we have triggers. No wonder people get taken back years or decades in time in less than an instant because they were hurt, and maybe repeatedly. With that said, alcohol was my demon. I never crave it anymore. And Dr. Joe Barry is with us. He has a few things to say about alcohol today, and I can't wait to hear them. Doc, let's talk about alcohol.
Well, Karl, we talked about the 3 dangers of people's health: the heart disease, cancer, and dementia. That's things we're all at risk for. But there are 2 things in our world that obviously damage us. One is smoking, and one is drinking. The debate goes on, but whether a little bit of drinking is healthy or not, it may be. But the problem is people have a hard time with the slider function. Mm-hmm. For some things, it has to be all or none. Really, with smoking, people say, I'm down to 2 smokes a day. That's still not good. And that is why there are 2 drugs, I think, that are more important than any other drugs. 1, Viagra, because it makes a man feel like a man again. And 2, Chantix, because it makes people quit smoking even when they don't want to quit. You take the Chantix, you've got a better than 50% chance of quitting smoking. But alcohol is tough, and doctors have not had a lot of great items to help people with alcohol. specifically in terms of moderating it. We've got low-dose naltrexone, which may affect your drinking desire. We've got antabuse, which may make you sick. I love antabuse. It makes you sick if you drink, but most drinkers aren't going to take it. The family has to give it to them. But I came across a new study that might help people. Not a study I read in the book, but a study that's going on now. It's sponsored by the company called ICOR, ICHOR, ICOR Research. Their headquarters, I think, is in Lafayette, but the research center is elsewhere. But they're sponsoring a study here in Central New York on how to cut down your drinking. And interestingly enough, it's using a GLP-1 drug. These are the drugs, Wegovy, Bydureon. These are the weight loss drugs. But the weight loss drugs may have people eat less, but that also may have them gamble less, maybe smoke less, but there's a real belief that it may cause them to drink less. So they're sponsoring a study for people that are admittedly heavy drinkers that want to try and break that habit. And as I said, to go from 6 drinks a day to 2 drinks is very hard. I think it's easier to stop drinking entirely than to moderate it. But for those of you that have a dual problem, maybe you're heavy and drinking too much, you can't lose with a study from ICOR Research. Their phone number, 315-904-5004. I'm not a paid spokesperson, et cetera, et cetera. 315-904-5004. And can you tell me a family that hasn't been touched by alcohol? I don't know any, including my family.
Doc, I want to interject 1 second. Sorry to interject, but this is Aubrey DeGray. Dr. Aubrey DeGray is involved in this. And not that it matters. I happen to know Aubrey personally. He's been on the show. ICOR is like his thing, and he's got the lab in Lafayette for that and some other stuff. We got to have you and him on together. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just think that here's another chance for you. You don't need your doctor. You need this company, or you need willpower and, I don't know, faith, something, a belief that you can make changes in yourself. But the number, again, if you're interested in trying to cut down your drinking, 315-904-5004. Oh, you can give it to the loved one that's drinking too much, but until they come to the realization that it's on them, they're not going to change. It's not pretty. But
you got to admit
it is fixable.
Yeah, you got to admit it yourself. Until DeGray also founded SENS, SENS, and they have a headquarters on James Street, lab in Lafayette. Oh man, this stuff is crazy cool, man.
If you wonder if you have a drinking problem, do this. Look in your blue bin.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's right.
It's very true.
You know, hopefully your blue bin contains mostly canned vegetables, the empty cans.
Mm-hmm.
But, my blue bin has seen way too many wine bottles. It saw way too many tequila bottles. And that was the thing that looked at me. I said, geez, how many people in this house are drinking this stuff? And then I realized it was just me. So the blue bin opened my eyes up.
So, doctor, is that phone number, do you think if people call that number, they might be able to get into the study? Do you know?
No, they came to my office last week and said, we're looking for participants, and I said, I'll get the word out.
Okay. We're going to promote that next week, too, or the week after. Next week is pre-recorded. But, Doc, in 20 seconds, the music comes on. So let's have you take it out. What do you want to talk about for the next 75 seconds?
I want to find out, are you an American or are you an Americant?
Ooh.
Can you change one habit? You don't have to change everything. You don't have to take one giant step over the Grand Canyon. Take little steps.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes. Today, I'm going to skip that
I love it.
Tootsie Roll bar. Today, I'm going to call a friend, write a friend, not texting. Please, people, write a friend, call a friend, reach out, build those social networks, because that's 7/10 of your health. Not smoking, moderating the drinking, exercise, that's all good.
Yeah.
But we're realizing the social situation is as important as the physical one.
You got it, brother.
Find love.
Doc, we got to head out, man. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast.
Elizabeth, Karl, thank you both. Appreciate it very much. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
You too.
You got it, brother. I'll see you around the office
again.
sometime this week. We'll have you on again soon.
Right.
And everyone, thanks for listening. Really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today. Go to karlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. You can hear all the recorded episodes there, previous shows. In the meantime, be sure to move your body, use your brain every single day.
The proceeding was a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of the station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information has been for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care